Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome to Leisure Gaming. I am Leisure. Today's deck profile is an interesting one because not only is it a zombie deck, it is a ritual deck. Vendreads are the only zombie ritual archetype in this game, and with that kind of typing, I definitely wanted to take a look at them, especially playing them in the solo gate. Like I've mentioned before, the Vendreads focus on ritual summoning, and all of the non-ritual monsters in the archetype come with two effects. The first effect revolves around special summoning monsters from your graveyard, and the second effect grants your Vendread ritual monsters an additional effect. So let's take a quick look at this deck profile for the Vendreads. To start the deck profile, we have two Vendread Core. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other zombie monster from your graveyard and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. When a Vendread monster is ritual summoned using this card, it gains the following effect. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. We have one Vendread Anima. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished Vendread monsters except Vendread Anima and special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except zombie monsters. A Vendread monster ritual summoned using this card will gain the following effect. Banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. Next are two Maxis. Next are two Vendread Sturges. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can reveal one Vendread card in your hand and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. A Vendread monster ritual summoned using this card will gain the following effect. After damage calculations, if this card battled an opponent's monster, draw one card, then discard one card. Next are three Ash Blossoms. Next are two Vendread Hound Horde. If this card is in your graveyard, you can discard one Vendread card, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. A Vendread monster ritual summoned using this card will gain the following effect. Once per turn, you can target one spell or trap your opponent controls and banish it. I have one Mizuki. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one zombie monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. This is a great way to bring back one of your ritual Vendread monsters as long as they have been ritual summoned properly. Next are three Vendread Revenants. If this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. A Vendread monster ritual summoned using this card will gain the following effect. Once per turn, you can target one special summoned monster your opponent controls and banish it. Next are three Revendread Slayers. You can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell. Once per battle, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can banish one zombie monster from your graveyard. This card gains 300 attack. If this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one ritual spell from the deck to your hand, and if you do, send one Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard. One Vendread Battlelord. You can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell. You can banish one Vendread card from your graveyard and declare one type of card, monster, spell, or trap. For the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects of that type. If this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one ritual monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send one Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard. Next are two Revendread Executor. You can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell. This card names become Revendread Slayer while on the field. While this ritual summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target cards you control with card effects except this card. If this ritual summon card is destroyed by battle or destroyed by an opponent's card effect while in this owner's monster zone, you can add one Vendread card from your deck to your hand. To kick off the spells, we have one Raigeki to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, one Harpy's Feather Duster to clear out your opponent's backfield, one Monster Reborn to special summon a monster from the graveyard. Next are three Pre-Preparation of Rites. Add one ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and add one ritual monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand whose name is mentioned on that ritual spell. One Lightning Storm to either clear out your opponent's backfield or clear out your opponent's attack position monsters. Next are three Revendread Origin. This card can be used to ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field, or banish zombie monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you summon. If Revendread Slayer you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Next are two Revendread Evolution. This card can be used to ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field, or send one Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard whose total levels equal the level of the ritual monster you want to summon. The ritual monster is destroyed during the end phase of the next turn. 1 Vendread charge, send 1 zombie monster from your hand or face up from the field to the graveyard to special summon 1 Vendread monster from your deck. And of course we have 1 Call by the Grave. To kick off the traps, we have 2 Vendread Reorigin. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that has a level, tribute it, and if you do, special summon 1 Vendread token with a level equal to the tributed monster's original level. While the token special summoned by this effect is on the field, you cannot normal or special summon monsters except Vendread monsters. And lastly, we have 2 Infinite Impermanents. To kick off the extra deck, we have 1 Dampire Vampire Sheridan. If you use a monster or monsters with a level that is owned by your opponent for the XD summon of this card, treat it as a level 6. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. Once per turn, if a monster, card, or cards is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard by a card effect, or a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the opponent's graveyard, you can detach 1 material from this card and special summon 1 of those monsters to your field in defense position. 1. The Zombie Vampire. If you use a monster or monsters with a level that is owned by your opponent for the XD summon of this card, treat it as a level 8. Neither player can target this card with effects of special summon monsters except those special summoned from the graveyard. You can attach 1 material from this card. Each player sends the top 4 cards from their deck to the graveyard. Then if any monsters were sent to either graveyard by this effect, you can special summon 1 of those monsters to your field. 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Relinquished Anima, 1 Nightmare Phoenix. We have 1 Vampire Sucker. Since this is a zombie deck, if you would tribute a monster for a tribute summon, you could tribute a zombie monster your opponent controls even though you do not control them. And you can use one of the following effects once per turn. You can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's side of the field in defense position. It becomes a zombie monster. If a zombie monster is special summoned from either graveyard, draw a card. 1 Wee Witch Apprentice. Since everything is dark, all dark monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense. Also, all light monsters on the field lose 400 attack and defense. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 dark monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. 1 Vendread Savior. You can definitely run this at 2 if you prefer. This card named becomes Vendread Slayer while on the field. You can only activate the following effects once per turn. You can target 1 Vendread card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. And that's any card, monster, spell, or trap. The second effect is during damage calculation. If this card battles an opponent's monster, you can send 1 zombie monster from your deck to the grave. That opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of the monster that is sent to the graveyard times 200 until the end of this turn. For that second effect, I normally just send 1 of the rituals because they have the highest stars, and it's usually going to be the Vendread Executor. 1 IP Masquerena. 1 Dark the Dark Charmer, because once again we have all darks, so this is pretty easy to get into. 1 Nightmare Unicorn. 1 Vampire Fascinator. If this card is linked summoned, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except zombie monsters. You can tribute 1 vampire monster, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase. 1 Yugioh the Absolute Zero Mayakashi. You can control 1 Yugioh the Absolute Mayakashi, negate any activated effects of your opponent's banished monsters. If a monster is special summoned from the graveyard or a monster effect is activated in the graveyard, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field and change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate its effects. And since we have all these links, we're running 1 access code talker. Just as a quick note, to make sure that your Vendread ritual monsters gain the additional effects from your non-ritual monsters such as Vendread Core, you have to make sure that these monsters are on the field when you use them as ritual tribute. Also, the Vendread collection is not complete as we're still missing 3 Vendread cards, 1 being the Vendread Scavenger, the next being Scar of the Vendread, and last a spell being the Ravenous Vendread. And lastly, since this is a ritual deck at its core, you can still run different versions such as the Incantations, which will help ritual summon a lot faster, along with Manju of 1,000 Hands, which will allow you to search out some of your rituals and not just rely on pre-preparation of rites. So that's it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe as we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Also, go ahead and leave a comment below on your thoughts about Vendread. I would love to hear from you. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Later.